Hello and welcome to our next workshop, frame surface creation. What we're going to do here is create a surface and apply it to our model, and after that create an analysis for it. What we're going to do first is create a new database, and since we've been working this kind of files before, we're just going to go right into our usual folder and call it surf create. We're going to click OK, and we're just going to make sure on the right of our screen that we have the tolerance based on model, the model dimension at 10, the analysis code on nastrin, and the analysis type structural, and we're going to click OK. Our first step is going to be going into geometry and creating a surface on the XYZ method. And what we're going to do is we're going to give the vector coordinate list 24 on X, 10 on Y, and 0 on Z. And the origin we're gonna uncheck auto execute, and we're gonna start from 0, 0, 0. And we're gonna hit apply. So now we have our basic surface just to begin with. There's going to be to create an extrusion on our surface. So we're going to, of course, leave it at ID2, and our initial coordinates are going to be the same except the translation vector. We're going to edit it for 002, and we're going to uncheck auto execute, and under the curve list we're going to select the top edge of the surface. So go here and select just the top edge, and we're going to hit apply after that. And what we're going to do here is change our view to the ISO view 1, and as we can see there's an extrusion here forming a rectangle on the top. Our next step is going to be to change the translation vector to the opposite side. So what we're going to do is just going to change R2 on the z-axis to a negative, apply, and what we're going to have is a full-on rectangle on both sides of the top surface, the top edge of our initial surface. Once we have our surfaces selected, we're going to go again into geometry, and we're going to select the action option transform. We're going to go from the surface object, and our method is going to be a translation. So we have our surface ID list, and we have to make sure the translation vector is going to change on the y-axis, so we will have this same surface on the opposite side. So we're going to go -10, which is the units we're using, and the length of the sides of our main surface. We're going to uncheck auto execute just to make sure, and we're going to select surfaces 2 and 3. So we have surface 2, we're going to apply it. We can see the translation resulting in surface 4, and now we're going to go to surface 3, do the same, and we'll end up with surface 5. Now that we're a bit more familiar with the translation method, what we're going to do next is translate our entire model right next to it to have an extended version of this. So what we're going to do is geometry, so we're going to transform our surface translate, and the direction of the vector, we're going to change it so it is 0 on Y are going to move 24 on X. So basically that's going to give us a new set of surfaces right next to it. So we uncheck auto execute, and under our surface list we're going to select the entire surface and we're going to hit apply. And as you can see, we have the entire surface right next to it, labeled 1 through 10. Our next step is going to be to create 4 points on our first surface, and how we're going to do that is we're going to stay in geometry and we're going to go to create point, and our method is going to be the extract method. We're going to select single point on surface, and we're going to go to our parametric position. So what we're going to do is we're going to set it to 1/4 and half. This is going to give us our main values, and we're going to go ahead and uncheck auto execute just so you can see when we apply it what happens. So under surface list we're going to select surface 1 and we're going to hit apply. So as you can see, the points have been created, and after this we're going to change the U parametric position to 3/4, and we're going to hit apply again. For further simplification, we went ahead and allowed the labels to be shown for the points as well as the surfaces. So as we can see, we created 2 points on our first surface, and we're going to go ahead and do the exact same thing for surface number 6. And we're going to start with the 1/4 and hit apply, and you can see the point number 21 just pops up right away. We're going to go to 3/4, and again we have our next point. If you want to show on or unshow your numbering, so again you just go to miscellaneous and go to label control, and here you can create, so I can take away the numbering of our points, just put it back up. Next up, we're going to use the points created to create two 2D circles in each surface. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to geometry, create a curve, and we're going to go to 2D circle. The input radius we're going to set at 2.5 patron units. Under center point list, we're going to create we're going to delete the vector system. We're going to do is we're going to select each of the points we've created. So we're going to go 19 and hit apply, and then we're going to do the same for 20. You're going to hit apply, and what we're going to do is now we're going to extend the parametric surfaces, which are our green surfaces, and for that we go to edit geometry under the surface object, and our method is going to be extend. So we're going to select the fixed length icon and select edit all associated surfaces, which is our first option. Already set. Our length is going to be set to 2. We're going to again deselect auto execute, and under our surface edge we're going to select the following edges as shown in the figure. So we're going to go on and select just this edge, go right ahead. And we're going to hit apply. Now that our parametric surfaces have been extended, we're going to break surface with the circular curves. And again, under edit, we're going to hit surface and break the break option. We're going to, first of all, we got to unselect auto execute. And our option is going to be curve. So now we're going to go to surface lip and select only surface 1. Break, and then under our break curve list, we're going to select curve 1 and 2, which are our circles formed earlier. We're going to hit apply after this. So once they're both selected, we just hit apply. And are going to ask us to delete the original surfaces, to what we respond yes. And now we're going to deselect our point icon from label control. And we're going to see they are now marked as curves, not as parametric surfaces. As we continue working with our circular curves, what we're going to do is we're going to delete under object. We're going to select surface, and for our surface list, we're going to select surface 12 and 14. We're just going to go ahead and type it in. That's the surfaces where the circles were made, and we're going to hit apply. So now the surfaces are gone, and all we're left with are our curves. And right after this, we're going to start checking out how our model's looking like. So we're going to change our view to smooth shaded. As we can see, we start having somewhat of a profile with 2 holes. And that was just for the view. We're going to change back to wireframe right away so we can see what we're working with. Now we're going to start finishing our model. So we're going to go right into geometry again, and our action this time is going to be edit the surface, and we're going to add a hole. We're going to click the center point option to select the other 2 points on our number 6 surface. So the radius is going to be 2.5 again. So we're going to, auto execute has already been unchecked for us. So our surface is, as I said earlier, 6, and the point list is 21 and 22. And we're going to hit apply. Now we have our 2 holes. And now we have to transform our surfaces, and for that, our action is transform surface and translate, as we've done before. And our translation vector is going to be 24, 0, and 0. So we gotta just leave it as it is. And the repeat current is going to be 2. So we're going to have 2 instances where our transformation is going to take place. We're going to check auto execute for surfaces 6 through 10. And we're going to hit apply. Our next step will be to create a breaking plane for our figure. So what we're going to do is we're going to stay here and transform, but we're not going to do a surface anymore. We're going to go to the point and translate again. So what we want is to work in the Cartesian plane, and our translation vector, we're going to have to change it up a bit. So we're just going to go at 4 on X just to make sure it translates to the right point. And we're just going to repeat it once. So what we're going to see here is around the area where my mouse is right now, we're going to see a point pop up. Let me remove auto execute. And the point list, I'm going to delete that. I'm not going to work in the Cartesian there. I'm just going to select the point where I want it from. So that's point 26. So I'm going to go ahead apply. I'm not sure what happened. Next up, we're going to keep creating our breaking plane. So what we're going to do is under the geometry tab, we're going to go to create plane, and we're going to go with 3 points. So I'm going to go ahead and leave auto execute checked, and point 1, I'm going to select this point 29, and then we're going to select point 30 as well. And for point 3, I'm going to select our new point, which is point 49. I'm going to go on and click apply. So as you can see, our point's already created, our plane's already created, and we can see it right here as it is expressed by our patron. So up next, we're gonna start with the surfaces at the left end. So what we want out of this is we have to go to geometry, and we're gonna edit the surface with the break option, and we have a 25 surface ID, but although we only have 24 surfaces, I know it's weird, but we made a mistake at the beginning. The surfaces go from 1, 2, 3, and skip number 4, so that's why. And we're just gonna go ahead and keep working like this. We're gonna select the surfaces at this moment. Our surface list will go 2, 3, 4, 5, and 13, which is really going to be surfaces 2, 3, 5, 6, and 14. And the break plane, I'm sorry, we're supposed to edit this, and it got cut up in the explanation. So we're going to go with surfaces 2, 3, 5, 6, and 14. And under the break plane, we're going to select, well, of course, our new plane, plane 1. We're going to apply, and we're going to go yes for all. So there's no noticeable change right now, but as we move on, we're going to go to geometry, and we're going to delete under surface, and we're going to select surfaces 25, 26, 25, 27, 33, 31, and 29. We're going to hit apply, and then we're going to go to smooth to our view, and smooth shaded, and this is what it should look like, an I-beam, as you can see from the geometry. Now we have to mirror what we just did, so we're going to go to transform option, a new option we've been using in this workshop, under our surface object. And again, our method's going to change for this. It's pretty simple. It's called a mirror method. So what we're up to now is we're going to offset the parameters, and we're going to change the coordinate. We're going to go to coordinate point 1, and the offset is going to be 60. Our surface list, we're going to uncheck auto execute, and I'm going to go ahead and select the surfaces 26 to 33 to 2. Let me just type in surface real quick. Next, we're going to start by creating a new database, but first of all, it's important to delete the plane. So we're just going to go ahead and delete the breaking plane. Just not to miss anything. So after that, we're going to go to File and we're going to close the database. And what we're going to do next is create a new database. So we're going to go to File, No, and we're going to create a database called Surf Create Part 2. Go ahead and press OK. We're going to choose a default tolerance, and the nastran and structural code stay the same. I'm just going to go ahead and go OK. Now we're going to import our completed surfaces from the files we received. So we're going to go to File, Import, and under Files, under the we're gonna have to use the IGES. We're gonna go completed surfaces. In the current group, we're gonna go default group. It's the IGES file. We're gonna import to Parasolid, and after we check everything's good, we can go and apply. So the file should be importing as we speak. But I get an error here. I'm gonna try this again from another access point. We're sorry about that. We had a few problems importing. The reason for this was we didn't uncheck the import to Parasolid file, which we should have, because the file was in an IGES format and not a Parasolid format, which actually defeats the purpose of this import. We corrected our mistake after pondering over it, and now we're gonna have the model here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go right into group, we're gonna modify, and we're gonna click rename under the default group, and we're gonna call it all surfaces. And okay, now we're gonna click OK, and we're gonna select ISO-BU1, just right here, and under this is basically what we had to do in this workshop. The complete geometric surface model just displayed will be used for the creation of a finite element model for a subsequent workshop. So in one of our next videos, we're going to show the analysis of the finite element on this, which should include some meshing. For now, that is it on this workshop. Thank you very much.